The fractions that we have, as our colleague from Nigerian Customs has said, we need to have the external engagement with our clients. Because most of the reasons why we have the delays and the operational bottlenecks has to do with the non-compliance attitude and disposition of the port users. And maybe more work needs to be done on that, and needs to be emphasized critically that we cannot have instances where we will not be able to probably detain containers. Because when we have information based on intelligence that certain containers are carrying injurious earth commodities, it is the responsibility of NAFDAC as an agency to protect the health of the citizens of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. NDLA is not here. Quarantine. Yep. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Anthony Achuzia. I'm the Director of Planning, Research and Development, Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service. I thank God I'm not facing any fake today, so I have to be here. I was there in Abuja. That's when where you held the two. Yes, I was there. And as a matter of fact, I got this invitation maybe yesterday around 5 p.m. No fault of yours. I think that letter was, I think when I got the explanation from one of your staff, I think the letter got to us maybe a week ago. But actually, it wasn't minuted down to me. So when I got it yesterday, I was thinking of maybe pushing forward a staff in Lagos here. But because I was there twice, in Abuja, and of course, a trainer trying to train others, I just have to come. But make sure that I think a staff of mine came along with me. On this note, I thank MACN, CBI, Federal Ministry of Transportation, ICPC, TUGA, NSC, for this opportunity yet again to be here. You've done marvelously well. The truth is this. I think the moderator latched on. Let us play down on the challenges and talk of consolidating the gains. But how do you consolidate gains when there are still gaps? When there are still gaps. So we still have to dwell on gaps and challenges, even though some of the stakeholders here must have gained on some levels, on aspects of it, just like quarantine service where I work for. Yes, SOP. We make sure that we'll do our best. But permit me to say it again, I'm not boring you with this. The real mandate of Nigeria Cultural Quarantine Service, ours is based on preventing the disease, exotic diseases and pests and contaminants entering this country And of course, taking same house out, working against rejection. You must have had a lot of rejections abroad of our food and, agribusiness, agri-produce. This is what we try as much as possible to fight. Make sure that diseases don't come into this country. And the ones we have here, prevent them from going out. That's basically what we do. So it's latched on phytosanitary measures. TBT, if you don't mind. Science-based. Of course, I've listened to my sister regulatory agencies on technicalities, but ours is based on science. Yes, we spoke so much on compliance, roundtable discussions, which of course is based on efficiency, security, ethics, integrity, business excellence, in line with what PEBEC stands for, which is the ease of doing business. And maybe you will celebrate with me when I mentioned that last week, I think I represented my agency where we were awarded the presidency chaired by the Vice President, Professor Osibanjo, where we came third position in ease of doing business. It shows that at least we have improved from a level to another. We have always preached consequences. Consequences that, of course, will befall any of our staff that are found wanting. But again, we have challenges in the port. Sometimes, if you remember, time past, they say they are going to call us when our products are flagged. Sometimes we are not called. But there is improvement because we are collaborating with the Customs Service and other agencies that are in the port. They are so supportive. So we try as much as possible to do our best. But again, another challenge we have, maybe until we come to that single window thing we're talking about, which we are working seriously, on, a situation where just like you said, there are some people or clients of yours that they are so compliant that you allow their goods to move without being checked. I'm talking of this fast tracking thing. Yeah, we have a problem there. But we'll get there because we are working seriously on that. So we preach strict compliance to the SOPs of various agencies, which NAC is one of them. NAC, of course, is still applying that negative to positive incentives, that is sanctions and rewards. NAC now has compliance officers all over the zones we operate to provide updates on the implementation of compliant functions. And of course, regulatory conversations are ongoing with our sister agencies. Let me point out the fact that we're having cross-cutting functions with NAFDAC, but over the last year and now, recently, I think another one was held, where we are trying to collaborate with each other so that we don't duplicate functions. We have done that. The two COEs have met and we have discussed with NAFDAC so that we facilitate trade, so that our clients, of course, we stop complaining about duplication of functions, because that's what we have. NAFDAC, we say this is their function. Quarantine, we say no. But now we have come together to harmonize so that these bottlenecks will be done and done with permanently. Yes, NACS has zero tolerance for corruption, of course, accountability, rules and procedures is what we profess. But today we are here trying to consolidate on our gains. Fine. We are supposed to be reinforcing the efforts of the two previous roundtable discussions by strengthening the various operations to the benefit of maritime industry, of course, of which NACS is a stakeholder. And we are glad we are recognized as one. Yes, there are challenges which can be surmounted by making sure that strict compliance mechanisms are followed at least not to dwindle below the level we have reached. The key word, not to dwindle below the level we have reached. I want to believe that some people have made progress here. They have said it. But please, let us hold on what we have and don't go down the level or below the level we have reached. NACS, as usual, we continue to collaborate. We continue to partner with these organizers for the job you are doing, and you are doing it well. So I wish all of us good luck, and thank you for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Is there any other agency that is here that has not been recognized? Do we have any other agency that is here that has not been recognized to make presentation? So in the absence of none, we are going to the question and answer session to be moderated by Mr. Soja Pampa. But before I hand over the mic to him, I would just want to make one or two comments about some of the presentations that have been made, and want to appreciate the presence of custom, immigration, all the participants, especially seeing some of the participants that came for the roundtable being here. It creates room for continuity, and is able to report back. When you have people from the higher echelon of the management coming, decision reached can easily be implemented, other than you sending a junior officer who is not too conversant with what we are talking about. But be that as it may, I just want to say that we should not make this roundtable a kind of ritual. We should be looking at what is our takeaway as an agency. What am I taking back to my agency to improve? When you are consolidating on something, it means there has been a foundation which you are building on. And that presupposes that where were we and where are we now? So there's a room for comparative kind of analysis as to what we have achieved. So some of these things were constrained one way or the other. Agencies have their mandate, and it becomes problematic to want to subscribe your own mandate to the mandate of another agency. So that makes it difficult at times for synergy to actually work. But if we are talking of maritime sector, what can we do? We are all in the same place, doing the same work. Sometimes in some of the agencies which we supervise, we found out that NIMASA has a kind of policy on badge operation. MP has a policy on badge operation. Shippers Council has a policy on badge operation. We decided that this cannot continue. we need to come around and develop a document that can work for all of them at a point in time. Now, why I'm alluding to this is the fact that is it also possible for all of these agencies working on the same platform to develop, to harmonize their own template as is raised to port, to be able to save time and be more productive? In which case, the issue of national single window that he talked about, we've been full dragging on this for a very long time, and I don't know where we are headed concerning it. But in another breath, there is this issue of the port community system that we are also working on. And I just pray, we've been working tirelessly about it, and it's an advanced stage. God helping us, maybe you can see the light of the day before the expiration of this administration, so that we don't start all over again. But what I'm trying to say is that some of these problems that have been highlighted here have been trying to be addressed through the port community system. So I've talked about agency synergy, SOP, and then so I want to, the last time, I remember an incident that happened at the other time when I think a trucker was following you. How was the matter resolved? So I think that should be consolidated on the gain of being at the round table. Because I know are the truckers, are they here? The truckers are here. So how did it end? So that's just my, before we now ask for question and answer and a lot of things. Okay, yeah.
So, thank you very much, sir. So, well, with the truckers, I availed them with a telephone number, and I told them exactly who to see to deal with that matter at the level of the headquarters. That I did. Unfortunately, fortunately, the last interaction we had I guess they said, they seem to have told me that they were not really very satisfied with the resolution. So I guess, they may have to go a little bit higher to the level of the CGC level to get the issue solved. Then, sorry, sir, I don't know whether I can take the other one you mentioned about us as security agencies working together, seeing ourselves. Yes, sir. The key to that would be automation. And you see, what we have been confronted with in automation is that we're now seeming to have, with automation comes other problems. Because if we need to look at the port as a multi-stakeholder environment where stakeholders, internal and external, have a matrix where we're able to see each other. So if we're automating and we're automating singly on an agency by agency automation, we will now be confronted with another challenge of silos automation. And if we now have silos automation, we will each be automated individually, but we are not able to see ourselves collectively as a group within the matrix. So what I think we should do is to develop an API, an application program interface, where we'll be able to see each other and we'll be able to interact amongst ourselves, online or digitally. I guess that would be able to put a little bit of and to get that done, I guess we should be talking at the very highest level of government. I don't know. That's my take, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Oftentimes, when I've attended, we say, these are the big elephant in the house. The big elephant in the house, they know themselves. The issue is that, let's just leave that one. But it's time for question and answers. Mr. Pampa, you are here. Is he here? Okay, you can handle that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please, on behalf of all of us in the room, I think it would be wonderful to please recognize the Director of Maritime Services, Mr. Babatunde Sule, who has done an exceptional work representing the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation. Sir, Mr. Customs, don't bill him yet. Let's appreciate him first, please. Please, a round of applause. Thank you so much for a job greatly done. And we also want to recognize and thank all the agencies that have given their feedback. In this session of, you will not have the charismatic Mr. Pampa. You have only myself and my good friend here, Mr. Vivek Menon, who will be handing over this session. And of course, it's question and answer, so it's not about us giving feedback. It's about really learning from you and hearing from you. Now you've heard all the reports. But please, let me echo one thing that was said, which is something we'll come to. The director mentioned the importance of comparative data that speaks to evidence on progress. And that is really the direction we're going in, to make sure that we have tangible, measurable progress over a period of time. So as we go along, that's something I would want to see us within the compliance roundtables to come and show real data. How have we shifted? What have been the challenges in those shifts? And what exactly more do we need to do in terms of cooperation also between the private sector and the government sector to create that accountability structure, number one, to create transparency, number two, and to make sure that whatever we're doing rather, speaks to the reality on the ground in terms of the experience of other port users. With that taken over, I will go now to questions. So please, for those who have questions, my colleague will lead. I will simply run around and give mics. No, I'll do the exercise. So you take control. All right.
Okay, we have David. Please, you can briefly introduce yourself and then.
Well, my name is David Etim. I'm the Deputy President of the Calabar Chamber of Commerce, Project Implementation Team Leader of the Calabar and Gulf of Guinea Municipal and Trade Center project, and the Chairperson for the Integrity Alliance in Calabar. That said, I have two questions, one comment and one suggestion. Okay. The underlying situation is that I have defined corruption as the consequential product of operational inefficiency, which then incentivizes the payment of a premium to get efficiency. Now, everything I say is standing on that. When Mr. Fadikbe was speaking, he graciously brought in the issue of the Business Facilitation Act. Now, I would really like to understand how does this act directly impact the work being done to reform our maritime sector, and how will the act ensure sustainability going forwards? That's one. The second question is, I want to thank the Customs for the e-Customs project, which is a most laudable project. However, the issue of efficient use of the single window for trade, which the Director Maritime Services has raised, still becomes an elephant in the room, if I may borrow his words. Because once that is done, the issue the Customs gentleman spoke about seeing each other in terms of the regulators, having an API to see each other. I do believe that the single window for trade does provide such a platform where everybody sees everybody and everybody can interact with everybody. So why are we trying to reinvent the wheel when we already have a wheel? You know, but the wheel itself that we have is not being utilized. So I would really like to get some clarity there. And my last suggestion for the gentleman that spoke from NAVDAC, he talked about the Codex Alimentarius. Now, yes, we agree that certain requirements exist for sample taking. But when those requirements are treated more like juju, where you don't know, somebody comes, so it gives so much subjectivity to the guy who comes on board to say, oh, we need, yeah, sometimes you may actually need one whole trailer of a particular thing as sample. But let it be known, let it be declared, let everybody know that, you know, you bring a trailer load of water. That trailer load, because different departments, different units need to do analysis, that whole trailer load may become a sample batch. You know from day one. Not the guy comes to you and then he now says, you know what, we are going to do this. But there's nothing, it's what he says. It's his say-so. We need to get away from this idea of somebody comes in a uniform or with a jacket, a flat reflective jacket, and says, you know what, I am from so-so-so agency and I need so-so-so volume. and there is no basis to argue or disprove what you say. So these are things that I would like to suggest, and with that I shall rest the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So you had a couple of questions. Yeah, one. We can take one more.
My name is Uche Chukwuoyoyo, a member of Integrity Alliance and the Vice Chairman of Compliance Team on Air Chapter, Port Harcourt. My question goes to Nigeria Customs Service. He mentioned issue of transparency, and I want to ask a question on that because as long as we are concerned, and from what we know, they said 48 hours to clear your goods in the port. Based on my experience, I know that clearing of your goods takes over 2 weeks for it to clear one container in the port, as I speak with you right now. And I'm talking from example from myself. I can see when he was talking, I went outside just to answer call. What is happening in One? Based on that, because for you to clear one container, there is duplication of jobs, especially if you are taking delivery in the gate. We have more than 8, after signing with the OCD, we have more than 8 seats, tables at a particular area, just in the gate. And they have multiple alerts. Before this meeting was convened, there are 31 that has never happened in Nigeria Customs since I become a freight forwarder. 31 alerts from Abuja, custom alert, which is not supposed to be. And those custom alerts, I have a practical examination that was done. A 40 container was examined, all to the point you can see the end of the container. At the end of the what happens? Putting it inside is a problem. For you to load it back is a problem. Until we have to go and meet Mr. Eman, which is the controller of customs, and I thank you for that. We have to put efforts before some of those things we are able to facilitate it. Because a lot from Abuja, you have to go here. After going to see them, they said that now they will send the report to Abuja. Abuja now will send the report back for you to clear one container. And on doing that, other agencies like the shipping company, they don't care to know you must pay the terminal charges are there just for you to clear one container. And at the end of the day, this falls backwards to the importer. And the importer comes back and as well put these goods, make his calculation and all this. But that is why you see how the price of goods and commodities are skyrocketing on daily basis. For instance, you're clearing the goods. As soon as you bring in these goods and want to clear, there is no pre-information on that thing. As soon as you come, something you're paying for 10%, they make it 20%. When you go to argue, as you're arguing, it's okay, put letter of protest. If you put letter of protest to put these goods, that should be a consideration from the shipping company, from the terminal, before you can argue. On that note, what do you have to? You have to comply. So there is no transparency at all. And they say the e-clearing, I've not seen it anywhere. It does not exist. Let us tell ourselves the truth. So on that note, I want to know the area where there is transparency, so that we can make these things, make sure that we consolidate very, very well. So that when we talk, we should talk from the point of view. I'm talking as a practical, a freight forwarder. I go to the field to work. I know what it takes for you to clear a container. It takes more than 2 weeks. So that is the biggest bottleneck we have in the ports. Multiple alerts. In the actual sense, the people that are supposed to give you alert are violation. If you look at your goods, maybe it did not classify very well, it's okay, go and pay the end. But now you go to the gate, they will turn it back. In one job, you have 5 alerts from different CIE will give you alert. After loading your container, and it passed, you capture, when you capture they have a data, a central body, as soon as you capture, every other sector in the Nigeria Customs Services will see it with a C number, what they call C number. As soon as you enter the number, as I capture my job now, anywhere you are in the port, as a Nigeria Customs, you're going to see it. But on that note, after doing that, it's difficult. More than 5 units of customs, the same customs definitely will do it. What is the job of strike force? What is the job of CIU? Let us clarify these things and bring it in one body so that it will be easy for us to clear goods within 48 hours. That is for the customs. I still have more questions, but that's for the custom. I have to give other of my colleagues time to talk. Talking of, I want to talk to quarantine. Quarantine is that if you're going to Onne now, there's a checking point in the quarantine. They cause a lot of roadblock in Akmaju. That's a junk that they have Mopol, police. That's a kind of checking point. For you to leave, it's a problem. Especially goods that are exported outside the country. They have to stop you, so they're causing a lot of hold-ups. So I want the quarantine sector should look into that. I don't know if actually they're aware. So for the worship, please, should come into and know what to do as regards to that. And I want to also talk in terms of transportation. The road is really bad. The Ministry of Transportation should come in. Someone cannot pay millions of naira to clear his goods on coming to the road. The truck will break down, go with bad roads, killing people on daily basis, just because of you want to clear the goods, and you have no options. And that is why you see people are turning back, coming to Lagos to clear their goods. But there is no road whatsoever. And this road here, they generate billions of naira on daily basis. What are they doing about the road? The roads are very, very bad. It's nothing to write home about. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing those. We have one for customs, we have one for quarantine, and then we'll take one more question, and then we'll let, I think there should be some response. One short question, please. Yeah. We'll take the question.
Thank you very much. My name is Mr. Abasonye Namdi. I'm the Treasurer, National Association of Approved Freight Forwarders from Onne Seaport Chapter. One thing I want to talk about is that about trucking and on the road. This goes to Mr. Fadipe, please. We have about 4 checkpoints before you get to the expressway at Onne. 1, the truck drivers checkpoint. Other people that stop the truck drivers. Then, as well as another one, there are 3 checkpoints on the road, and also it impinges on the ease of doing business, and I think and also cause some level of roadblock in the road, so it doesn't give way for smooth running of people and consignments and trucks. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that I wish SON is here, Standard Organization of Nigeria. Also, they're in line with NDLEA. So what I'm trying to say is based on the quantity of products collected for sampling. Then you have a consignment or 4 containers of homogeneous consignment, which they have looked into and found that it's same consignment and is homogeneous. They will want to collect samples on each of the containers, of which they are all homogeneous. It's also something that will have to be addressed, please.
Okay. If I may yeah, I think it will be good to get some response.
Okay. For now, thank you.
Yeah, so we can, in interest of time, please, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm going to answer one question and to ask 2 questions. The question I'm going to answer is the question. I'm Victor Ewache, Deputy Director, Maritime Services in the Ministry of Transportation. The question I want to answer is the question that was asked before this man spoke. He said the road from Eleme Junction to Onne in Port Harcourt is very intractable and not motorable. Yes, we have seen that road before, and of course, solution is already being provided. The Minister of Transportation established a committee called Ministerial Committee on Boarded Terminals. This committee is charged with the responsibility of going from one bonded terminal to another in Nigeria, Port Harcourt, Lagos, and so on. So when we went to Onne last year, we discovered that the road from Onne, from Eleme Junction to Onne, was very, very intractable. It was not motorable. So when we came back, we made a report and sent a letter to the Minister of Works. Then the Minister of Works sent the Director Road Construction and Rehabilitation in the Federal Ministry of Works, sent a Deputy Director that the Minister has already given them a marching order to put that road in the budget of this year, 2023, for reconstruction. So they are already working on it. It's on paper now, but very soon they will mobilize to the distance because it is part of the road that is going to be awarded this year. So that issue is being solved already. That is that. The two questions I would like to ask. One, I want to ask a question, ask MACN and CBI a question. The stakeholders of this forum used to be ICPC, used to be Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarders that speaks on behalf of the clearing agencies and operators. And we used to have NIMASA and Standard Organization of Nigeria. All these stakeholders are missing from this forum this time around. Why? ICPC is not even speaking. Are they represented at all? It is, so you have to answer that question. Number two, I would like to ask the leader or the coordinator of PSTTT, Mr. Fadikpe. Recently or thereabout last year, you made a representation or a request to the ministry that you need 180 million and some logistics including trucks, buses and whatever here and there to ease your operation, which the ministry, of course, gave you approval that NIMASA should give you 60 million and the NPA 60 million and Shippers Council give you 60 million. Recently, about 3 weeks ago, I called you when I was in Lagos here. The committee, ministerial committee on boarded terminals, we came on our assignment. We went to Toyota Nigeria Limited. We also visited Costaris Nigeria Limited and some other boarded terminals. The complaint is about corruption at Tinkan and their papa here and there. And that is why I called you. Has this money been approved for you so that you can be more effective? Because the complaint is too much there. If there has been if this money has not been given to you, why don't you notify the ministry? We have what it takes for them. If the minister approve all these things, that these people should give you the money so that you can be on ground. Very soon, if those people you assemble there, police and all these law enforcement agencies that are going up and down with you enforcing this thing, if you don't give them anything to buy food into their stomach, they'll run away from you. So they must have to keep body and soul together. Okay. If this money is not given to you, complain to the ministry so that they can, of course, either phone them or sometimes we write to them, reminding them. Please, it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So on the first question he raised, I would like to answer, and I want to take full responsibility. Now, in the last 3-4 weeks, we've had back-to-back trainings in different locations, Lagos and Port Harcourt, and of course, this meeting today. So it was only last week we actually started planning this meeting. And unfortunately, letters were not sent to SON, NDLEA, CRFFN, and the 4 organizations, FRSC. No, ICPC is here represented. Now, another omission on my part, in the program, if you notice, 2 organizations were missed out. Nigerian Ports Authority and ICPC. They were supposed to give addresses. So I take full responsibility and I am truly, truly sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'll hand over the microphone to Mr. Fadikpe now.
I would like to bring maybe Mr. from the customs. The first question, would you like to have that intervention?
Well, I guess it was a question from Mr. Basi of the Calabar Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
He talked about the the single window trade. You know, yes, if I don't know when he availed himself with the services of the single window last, but what we said is that if there are any problems with the single window, it could arise from the automating, you know, the different automating at different paces, you know, and you know the single window is a whole of government approach. Yeah. It's not singly a customs issue. You know, there are some problems that go beyond the customs service. You know, that it will require, you know, interministerial, sorry to say this, interministerial intervention, you know, that may slightly go beyond the customs. Okay. So some of these issues, if you experience problems, like we've identified, we know that the API, even I am aware that the MPA also tried to do a single window, whatever. It's all about the API, you know, and you know these are the issues, you know, that could arise, you know, and it's not peculiar to, you know, the trade alone. You know? Okay. So that's for that question. Then the freight forwarder talked about summarizing what he said. He talked about multiple alerts from on airport. He talked about 31 alerts coming from Abuja. I don't know where those 31 alerts are coming from. Maybe at the end of this meeting, maybe we may have a little tete-a-tete to know, you know, because I want to wonder how one particular transaction is going to have 31 alerts. Listen, we are talking about 31. We are calling custom police. We'll have to review and, you know, we have to review the 31. Sorry, sir, please.
Maybe we can take that.
After this meeting, we'll have a tete-a-tete.
Yeah, we can take a one-on-one.
We'll have a tete-a-tete, then you'll be able to, you know, so that we understand we're on the same page. You understand? But if you are a stakeholder like I want to believe you are, you should know that about last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a circular that came from the headquarters. We talked about centralizing the alerts at the desk of the Deputy Controller General Tariff and Trade. Okay. Last week, another circular came that counteracted that circular and said, we are not going to be sending all alerts from DCG TNT. We are going to be doing it locally at the table of the Deputy Controller in charge of revenue at the command level. I don't know whether you are aware of that. Yeah, so there's a new circular. You won't be seeing anything from things from Abuja. You'll be seeing things locally within your area command. That's also an advancement, you know. So, you know, it's like it's work in progress. You understand? We have never said that we've gotten to Uhuru. We're trying to serve you, and it's a process. You see, the issue is not about...
So if I may, can we get a copy of that? Is it available for public?
It's a restricted document, sorry, I can't hand it over, but I'll just mention it. Okay. I have the copy, but it's restricted. So you know, I may be able to share it with people like Oga Fadikbe, but I may not be able to throw it. Okay. I may not be able to send it, put it, you know, because I don't want to. Sir? You can't put it in the public domain. No, I can't put it in the public domain, please. Okay. You know, so you see, sir, it's work in progress, and we continue to refine, you know, the system. You understand? So,
but like, as you said, this could also be a further side-to-side discussion to understand better what happened.
I mean, at the end of probably at the sidelines, we could have a little tete-a-tete to further address some of the knotty issues, you know, so much so that, you know, because we too, we have our own issues with you guys too, you know, and I won't want to bring it to the full house, you understand? I don't want to, you understand, you know, I'm just being a bit, you know, so that we don't wash our dirty linens in public.
No, as you rightly said, you know, trade facilitation is for the compliant.
Yeah, it's for the compliant.
So, exactly.
You know, if
so let's take that on the side.
Let me not say too much, sir.
No, so is there any further intervention from your side?
Just a little addition to the issue of the deplorable states of Nigerian roads. That the road network is not a thing under the purview of Ministry of Transportation. The area we handle is on the rail, which we are working on. So let there be that issue, understanding that it is the Federal Ministry of Works that are in charge of Nigerian roads. not Federal Ministry of Transportation. But we handle the issue of rail. And we know we are working on the Port Harcourt Maiduguri corridor that is being rehabilitated. And we know the various rail networks within the country. So, for the purpose of clarity, the roads are to be handled by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing and not Ministry of Transportation.
Okay.
Yes, and like he said, that after the inspection, the report now necessitated them in writing to Ministry of Works because it's not under our purview and approval was given at the other end. Still goes to show that it is still the responsibility of Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Yeah, that's what we are just saying, that we went there as part of the, okay, this thing is not working because of the deplorable state of Nigerian roads, of the roads. So this was reported back and was taken up with the minister. Do you understand? Please, yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. We'll now give it to Mr. Fadipe. There were a couple of questions for him. And then one final question to you in the end, after Mr. Fadipe's. You have one for him also? Okay, let me come to you. Then Mr. Fadipe can take all, I think, 3 questions.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Itunolu Ashanibare, Maritime Trucker. I have quite like 3 questions, but I'll go to Mr. Fadipe first. One of the questionnaire asked earlier said in Ore they had 2 checkpoints, 3 checkpoints inward the port. In Tinkan, I'm talking about the port access. We have 18. Yes, and I can mention them. We have 18 checkpoints where bandits, destruction bandits, both on uniform and those that represent whoever, milk us daily, squeeze us like towel, vandalize our trucks, brutalize our drivers. Thank you, Sonny.
Sorry for simplicity. When you say Tinkan, can we start it from Liverpool Bridge up to MOB?
Give me the list.
MOB or to Coconut? Let us know, please.
I'll give the list now.
Okay, while he presents the list, the second one maybe in the interest of time, so we can...
From Fatbim, we paid 2,000. My 2 top bridge, we pay 4,000. The police take 2,000. Auto Wharf 2,000. UBA 2,000. Kirikiri Bridge 2,000. RRS 2,000. MTN 2,000. Before Sunrise 2,000. Westminster 2,000. Trinity 2,000. Coconut 2,000. Top of Coconut Bridge 2,000. Down Coconut Bridge 2,000.
But
up to Tinkan. Yeah, give me the rest. While we are looking for the rest of the list, because we have...
And that could be presented to him after. Yeah, please.
On the tone at the top.
Please.
This goes to MPA and Mr. Fadipe. When the MPA Big Elephant was talking the other time, what we realize is that it seems the language is that maybe there is not much training or information for their men on the field. Because the tone from the top is quite simple and fine. But what the men on the field are doing is totally different from what is being portrayed. Each time we attend seminar, we attend workshop or meetings, we are being given this impression of we're working towards perfection. Meanwhile, in the real time, on the field, if you are in operation, on the field, you are seeing a different case scenario. While we were here, we've had 2 cases of our trucks being, like truckers getting us, trying to get to us. This truck has accessed the port. they pick imports, about to go out, NPA personnel are holding down the truck that they are racketing. My questions, were they not the one that gave them access into the port? Now that the trucks are heavily laden, why are they being disrupted? They know the implication. Yet, these men had gone through, went to plead and promise that they won't come into the port without fixing whatever, and the men on ground were totally not listening. So they had to come to us and say, oh, we are somewhere, we'll talk about it. We'll come for you. Then PSTT. You're doing so well in Apapa, I must say. But you have overzealous officers who take law into their hands. We know that as truckers, we know our fault. And when we default, we know the right thing to do. We come to you, you tell us to bring documents and whatever. But your men make the process difficult, especially if they have issue with the particular trucker. They ensure that the truck spend minimum of 5-6 days in your premises for flipsy excuses. And sir, I have your number, but intentionally, and I'll say it here, I've not been contacting you because the impression I have about you, I don't think I want to be close. The first time I reported a case last year to you on WhatsApp, the first question you asked me was, which union do I belong to? I don't need to belong to any union before I can assess you, sir. I'm supposed to be a leader who everybody, irrespective of their union or affiliations, should come to me when they have issues they cannot resolve on their own. So by you asking me which union, of course, I know I'm on your good side. My union is on the good side. We are always trying to comply with the rules and regulations, lay down whatever. But irrespective of that, and then we have union members that your men make their life miserable. I can't defend that to the truckers. All I have to say is that I know they talk to Mr. Fadipel so that I will be on the good side. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much.
Now,
yeah, I'm just thinking, is there a way we can begin to have names to these officers? So it will help, Mr. Fadipel.
There's a few questions.
See around here. Okay. He's asking, how does the Business Facilitation Act impact on the work we are doing? You know, the ease of doing business as relates to maritime has a lot of provisions. Up until the time, which is 14th of February 2023, that this Business Facilitation Act was passed into law, is just a policy of the government. Whatever happens under that policy, if it gets to court, it might not really be taken. But all those things have been moved under the Business Facilitation Act now, such that all those things that are expected of every agency under that thing, if you are taken to court, it's an infraction, you can be prosecuted. And what does it say? It says there should be simplification of processes by all government agencies, both private and public. It doesn't stop at public alone, both private and public. And there should be reduction in bureaucracy, because bureaucracy introduces delay. And when there are delays, the cost of doing business goes up. And there should be digitalization of processes equally. And he has talked about the e-customs, is to simplify the processes and make sure that things goes on time. And we talked about facilitation of trade. Those are the four indices under the Business Facilitation Act. Let me now put into what we are doing every day. My brother here, yes, we appreciate the work of the immigration. And we know what it is. And I'm happy when you mentioned about the MIDAS. All these are to simplify the processes. Now, let's now take, for example, a vessel calling Nigerian port uploads all its documents to the customs manifest, the ship entry notice electronically, and Immigration is supposed to profile about 40 crew members on board, and you are given 30 minutes. How possible is that? So if immigration has a process by which these documents are uploaded in advance to your office, you could have looked at the 40 crew members and would have received it. If only one or two are infracted, you go on board, you are asking for that too. You are not a spirit. The captain will be surprised. How come? And when you don't see that too, if it's a story, well, you know. If not, so it simplifies the process. And those are the things that comes under this Business Facilitation Act. Because somebody can take you up on it and say, look, you've created delay, you've done this, then you've infringed on my right. And costs are attached to it. So that's why we are now saying under that act, every agency should go back and see how it affects the agency and start to digitalize. And let me dovetail it again to the man from NAFDAC. Because somebody talked about the issue of comparable data to give evidence. Yes, NAFDAC is one of the agencies that have key network into this custom system that you can see it end to end. Okay? Now, let's now take an instance whereby NAFDAC, who is part of the custom examination of cargo, your officers are present. After the examination, the boxes are taken back to the yard. You now give blockage of about 200 containers across board. Meanwhile, there are some customers who are not supposed to be plugged. They are entangled. I will now look at that 200. At the end of the day, they were released. How many has actually infracted? That's the question. We have a data we are carrying out now on all agencies. We're now looking at the percentage of those infracted. It's now up to 15%. 85% are released to say you are not infracted. And these are good customers who are doing things right. But cost has been spent. Because of the number of data containers were blocked, storage you are being paid, demo you are being paid. Who bears that cost? So in an attempt for you to do your job, then you have to consider the cost implication in carrying your job. So we look for some scientific ways of getting these things done so that people's rights are not infringed upon. So that I want you to please take home. So that every month, ask your officer in the port, how many containers do we block this month? What are the infractions? How many were prosecuted? How many were let go? Look at the percentages. It will help to be able to talk to the officers on the field and they will improve on their job. On the issue of the checkpoint, in on net driveway, it's work in progress. We were talking about Lagos achievement. We have the taxi in Port Harcourt, but they are coming on board too. Majorly, their focus now is on vessels because they did not start at the same time we started in Lagos. They started about maybe 8 months after. Now, on the 11th of May, we are going to have an interaction with the stakeholders and the post-time tax team present in Port Harcourt and the ones in Lagos to have it at look at the problem together, look at where these things are occurring, bring in all the public and private stakeholders who are involved and let them know why the children have been at so ABCD points. And I want to believe when that is done, there will be so-called there. Then on the status of request from FMOT, from my brother Mr. Victor, yes, a request has been made. Yes, approval has been granted. But that's why I raised it in my remark to my DMS to still remind him that my PMPA is here. They are yet to fulfill their own portion. NIMASA are yet to fulfill their own portion. But Shippers Council has fulfilled their own portion. And that's why you still see us that we keep going. They have not. And I have engineer getting my brother here. He's hearing. Yeah, there's an approval from the Minister of Transport for support to the tax team by each agencies in terms of finance, in terms of logistics, vehicles, and the rest. So it has been sent some couple of months back. But the DMS is fully aware of what I'm talking about. On the maritime truckers, Madam Itunu, fat beams to Tinkan Island. Let me boldly say it here. All the process you are seeing there are caused by the operators themselves. And I make bold to say it. Yes, if you're talking about MPA security, maybe at the point of entering the port. But from that fact beams, the people you see basically are the non-state actors, touts, associations, this and that, all manner of things. Yes, we are clearing them every day to the best of our ability. And sometimes we take them to court to put them out of circulation. And I'm able to say it at all fora. Lagos State government is their state too. These people you've seen operating in those places does not just operate freely. They have state support. And that's the honest truth. They have state support. And sometimes back, when you asked me and I said, which member of the union you are? Yes, the kind of work we do, a lot of calls comes in, we should know who at any point in time is interfacing with me. Because we have seen situations whereby people make distress calls and at the end of the day, we lay ambush for you. I've been victim, not once, not twice. So we have to know, and that is why we are asking for that. All I will tell you about those points. Let me start from fact beams you mentioned. Fact beams to our jurisdiction is outside the port logistics ring. From Ababa Port to Ijora, Sifas, you move to Relay, you get to Maitu, you turn around, you come back, as you are coming to, Sunrise, and all whatnot. State actors, you hardly see them there. You see them intermittently. They will come, they will run. They will come, they will run. So specifically, but the police, let me say this, there's a tax team by the Lagos State government, Nigerian Power Authority, LASMA, and TTP. 4 of them form tax team. And they said they are for ease movement of trucks on that corridor. Now, I won't talk much about LASMA. You know how notorious they can be. But the police, on those points, when we were removing the state actors, the question is, we are there to control crime. And we confirm, yes, we put them there to control crime. When you ship them from there, that crime will be occurring immediately. Then they will say PSCT has removed those people to control crime. That we are mindful of. But those ones that were not there to control crime, we've removed them immediately. And that can be assessed too. And the trust you are now mentioning, to say yes, my people are overzealous, they detain trust for 6 days, without defending them. Every action on the road have been put on camera. There was a time, Baba Remi Ogungbemi posted on the social media, the driver was brutalized. You can see blood all over him. Is that the way the PSTs are working? And when Baba sent that thing to me, I said, Baba, I will get back to you, please. And I could call my people on the field. What happened? Any evidence? They uploaded to my phone. And I sent it to Baba immediately. Baba looked at it. Baba said, can we see? I said, bring the owner of the truck. The truck is already in our custody. My driver is in our custody. The second day they came with the owner of the truck. Baba was there. And the owner of the truck was like, very aggressive. And we brought the boy, the driver. And we showed the owner of the truck that video. The next thing the owner did was to stand up to hit that driver. And we heard him say, no, we are not here to fight. When he saw what actually happened, the truck was apprehended, police inside the truck, FRS inside the truck, they were moving. They said, that is where you are going to enter our yard. And you can hear that noise. I'll kill all of you. I'll press the pedal straight to the bridge. And you can see, and that was when they hit him. So you can't kill us. Before you kill us, we'll kill you. And the truck said, we are detaining for 6 days. My brother is here. Please, I will invite you to my office. I will show you a file. Under a period of 6 months, we have over 187 trucks arrested with no valid papers. We have the evidences, you can come and see. Apapa corridor, there is no truck you see, they have 2, 3 plate numbers. The MPA sticker, they don't usually paste. They will just hold it because they can remove it from one truck to the other. And when we apprehend you, what do? We say, where are your papers? When we take you to our yard, you bring the papers. If the vehicle license is not correct, go and do it. Insurance not valid, go and do it. MOT, go and do it. When you finish everything, where is your manager? If it's a private truck, if it's a company truck like a Dangote, whatever, go and bring that your import or whatever logistics manager, who is going to write officially letter of undertaking that I will not do that again. When I do that, you're going to be prosecuted. So depending on how fast you can do those things will determine the number of days your truck will spend in that yard. And I've seen all the head of associations calling me, say, Fadipe, please, that cargo is going to the port, export, or that cargo has to get to where it's going. It's an import cargo. I will say, Baba, or whoever it is, bring another truck, come and transload to it. But that truck is not going. What am I saying, madam? Together, we can do it. And there's no truck that can be released after apprehension without Fadipe's signature or my 2IC signature if I'm not on ground. But somebody will be on ground to release it. And let me now tell you the gist that truckers are doing now. Because they know that when we come, we don't usually apprehend people. When we see you there, please move. It's only when you cannot move, we told you, because you are not supposed to be there. But what they are now doing now is that they will park, whether loaded or empty. They will remove one tire. They will open the bonnet. On the road, though, they will say it don't spoil. Because they know that when we come there, we will say, how many minutes will it take you? If it's 1 hour, we will go. But 1 hour, we want to come back, we don't want to see you there. So that's another tactics they are using now. And we are looking at what can we do. And let me admit, those truckers that are staying there too, they are not just staying there on their own volition. Somebody asked them to stay there. State and non-state actor working together, collecting money from them. Because when we discuss with these drivers, they are not mad people. But the system subjected or to bring out the madness in them. When somebody has collected money, another person has collected money, then we got there, taxed him, we took them away. And they are even happy these days for taxing to take them away than for last month to take them away. The highest our train to collect is 50,000. Go and ask. You pay it to the truck people, FRS. You pay it directly. But if last month told you the minimum you can go if you know person now 100,000. If I lie, so they are happy to say taxing, come and carry me, than to allow. And some of them again, because our parks, 3,000, 5,000. They will look at it. Yes, I don't have a validator. I'm just trying to make a way around it. They will park where they're not supposed to park. You now carry them to your yard. The day that document comes out, you pay your money sharp because it's already closer to the port. Because our park are closer to the port. So these are some of the problems and challenges we are having all along the corridor. But please, let us work together. Because these checking points you are telling me now, I won't say they are not there. But anytime you see us going, you won't see anything. Now, Amato, there are some of your members that we even say, okay, sometimes come and work with us. And they too, they are surprised when they are with us. From Papa Port Gate to my 2, as you are driving, you won't see anything. Look at the tankers. Let me give you an example. Between MOB and Abuja, look at those tankers. Are you seeing them there again? They are not there, but they are being there. It's not because they are stubborn. Somebody somewhere is benefiting from it. You are no more seeing them there now. Why? Because they feel nobody can arrest tanker. You know you can't arrest tanker. The product are this. But when we arrest them, we know what we do to them. We did it to 1 or 2 or 3. They don't want that experience to happen to them again. And that's why you're not seeing them there. So please, we are ready to collaborate. We are ready to work with you. We need your support. We need information. We need a lot of things. Because I believe together we can make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very, very important questions. Very important questions were raised. Thank you so much, Mr. Fadip. I think NPA should also have the opportunity to intervene here and share your response, please.
Thank you very much. Good day, everyone.
Mr. Fadikwe virtually said everything that concerns the question to the Nigerian Ports Authority. But I still want to put one or two words to my lovers there, the beautiful lady and the young man protecting the truck owners and the truck drivers. Regarding minimum safety standard in the Nigerian Ports Authority, we can tell you with our heads up that the MPA is working after the several or multiple accidents of last year, is working to ensure that minimum safety standards are followed in the ports. Now, while we are working to deal with the few bad eggs, you know, from our own end, you should also deal with your own bad eggs. When you talk about rickety trucks, when you come to obtain the minimum safety standard, you don't bring those trucks. And that is why when you are arrested, or when a truck is arrested, you will find several registration, several papers. When you come for this minimum safety standard, you bring the good trucks, the trucks that will be examined, and this certificate will be issued. But when the same person is coming to load, you see a different truck. And when you have the kind of officers that would just check the papers and certificates, they allow the truck inside. So we are working tenaciously from our own end to see that efficiency, because when lives are involved, whether you like it or not, you have to stand up and do something. But you have to deal with your own end. The truck owners, the truck drivers. I really, at the last meeting in Port Harcourt, I asked one question. I said, why is it difficult for us to really respect our SOP? Why is it difficult? Why do we have to fight cut corners and fight? Agencies are fighting just because for you to respect your own SOP. And I said something, if we really want to deal with this thing, we can deal with it. We can deal with the few bad eggs if we are interested. So please, as we look at the gains, we've said it, we can only sustain it if we are working together and ready. So, sweetheart, my lady, yes, please, as you look at and work with your group, ensure that, because next time, I think, Mr. Fadikwe, next time all these trucks with multiple registration, I think something needs to be done about them too. Yeah. So that is it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Sorry, DMS, sir.
And then.
DMS, sir. Sorry for my intervention. Please, I don't know, it's like a suggestion, and I want to be that the Ministry of Transport can take it up. I don't know whether all of us here notice something. The trucks plying Apapa corridor, you cannot see plate number fixed to them. Whether you have noticed, they don't tie their plate number, you tie a plate number of private. They hang on the glass. So it makes it easier to transfer. And what we are saying, I don't know why that, system of operation. If it's possible to say, okay, we can't hang it, their door, why can't we put the number on their doors? Both doors. So when you open the door, you see the number. So immediately we notice your truck number. So when you're asking for something, you know it's the particular truck you are talking about. It's a problem. Until that thing is addressed, we will not be able to get over this matter. Not for them to be hanging it on the windscreen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. One more intervention and then we'll come to you.
Okay. I just want to clear one or two other things, sir. Mr. Fedipe made some comments when he was talking about mandate given to MPA to provide some logistics. I do know that as we speak, we are taking delivery of vehicles that will support movement of agencies for joint boarding at the ports. While that is being done, you will also understand the financial constraints of organizations. While I don't want to stand in the gap because I can only talk the much I know because the MD is not here about the other financial support. Yes, I can tell you that, of course you know that from the beginning, MPA has been part of this business. And until we started this project 10 years ago, the image out there that everything that goes wrong in the port is MPA. Until we started this project. So we are beneficiary of this project. It has helped us cleanse our image a lot. It has helped us so much accept responsibility where it is ours, and others should back their monkey and feed them. So MPA, she said I spoke in flowery language. I'll continue to speak in flowery language. We'll tell you the truth. Where we are committed, we will tell you. Where we have constraints, we will tell you. MPA is forever committed to this. And I don't have my other phone here, where I had personally engaged my MD on the issue of containers falling on the roads and to what extent MPA should take responsibility. Like somebody said, it's a joint responsibility between MPA and various agencies. What I can tell you for free, and you can take that to the bank, is that the MPA is forever committed to this project and will continue to show commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think there are going to be a lot more questions. There are going to be a lot more opportunities to kind of discuss. Maybe I want to bring Emmanuel here as your closer question, because we would like to, as you pointed out, so where are we going here forward? So I think I would like Emmanuel to kind of raise that question to all the agencies to kind of respond to that, to see where are we going next, because that also speaks to some of the challenges that was raised here.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And before I do that, I hope the whole room is together. Sorry, can we all please be seated? Mr. Nnamdi, please, can we all be seated if you don't mind? Okay, I want to first of all, of course, appreciate every single person that's given feedback in respect of the questions. So Deputy Director Wache, Director Sule, Comptroller Aliyu, the Executive Director, the General Manager for Administration, and of course, Mr. Fadibe. Please, can we give them a round of applause for those excellent responses? I would never want us to do something without recognizing those that choose to stand up and speak the truth to where we are in terms of this our compliance journey within the transport industry and the port sector particularly. One question I had, which sort of follows very closely from what Director Sule had mentioned, and I think that really would be, and I think even Mr. Fadibe made mention of digitization of services, the use of body cameras, all of these different things. For those of us that have been together for a while, we're talking about tone at the top, making concerted effort to be held accountable for compliance. These are some of the things we're seeing. However, I think one key question I have, which I think speaks to compliance going forward, speaks to being able to document compliance is, and this question goes specifically as an example, please, to customs, to immigration, as examples. The question is coming. And the question is, what is the current system you have in place for ensuring data collection, detection, and response in terms of non-compliance to SOPs of your officers in situations where there are breaches? You made a very important point around when people have acted against the rules, they are sanctioned for doing so. That is good to say in such a meeting. What we want to now see is there a system where we can do comparative analysis, as the director was mentioning, between 2022, 2023, 2023, and beyond? Do you have a system in place that enables transparently anybody can go and verify the extent of the commitment of the agency to identifying, responding to, and also weeding out those who are in breach of compliance, and also in what regard? Just the same way as the MACN has been able to develop data that demonstrates where the gaps lie in terms of discretionary powers of agencies or officers in the field, those that are in breach and ask for corrupt demands, those that are asking for certain things that create opportunities for corrupt demands. Is that something that your system has in place? If not, what can we do to have that in place so that even this question of coming to a round table to ask would not come up? Anybody can go and verify that information of the extent of the effort of the agencies in really setting the tone that we're taking this seriously to rank and file. So we're publishing every single action we take against any officer that is in breach of our SOPs or regulations of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So let me start with you and then we'll come to immigration.
I'm sure that you would appreciate or you would accept the fact that we are public service, and what we are talking about here is a new innovation. It's not something that had been entrenched in the service before. So I have been in service for 30-something years. I only got to start hearing about compliance in the better part of 2-3 years. You know, so and in 2-3 years, we are just developing the compliance desk. So from what you are now saying we should do is like a kind of feedback mechanism you're telling me, you're saying, you're asking whether we have in place. We at this particular time don't have a feedback mechanism, but this could be a takeaway. This could be a deliverable which I'm going to be taking back to my people, so much so that we now try to take it to the next level. One, we have a compliance desk that will now start looking at having a feedback mechanism in place. But I did say that we have a DRC, a dispute resolution committee in place, but I don't want to marry the two committees. The compliance team, compliance is different from dispute resolution, you know, to that extent.
But the truth is, it's all one in the same. It's part of a system of response, right?
Yes,
so it's wonderful that it exists.
Yes, it does exist and it's working. And yes, you can check the activities of the dispute resolution committee. It's usually headed by the controller, area controller at every port in Nigeria. So that works fine.
Can I give an example if you don't mind? And I hope immigration is listening to this. So in our Port Harcourt engagement, we had a very incredibly talented controller we met for the Port Harcourt region. And one of the things he mentioned, because the question came up around, why does CIU put up checkpoints at certain point outside the port after a customs officer within the system, within the port, has signed off on a container or consignment and it's gone out? Why does CIU stop it? Why does Strike Force stop it? And he made a very interesting point. He said, in a case where CIU stops the truck and identifies that that truck is in breach of whatever the case may be, the SOPs of customs, but it shouldn't have been released essentially, the officer who signed off that particular consignment, information will be sent from CIU straight to the controller for the command, saying that that officer needs to be investigated. Sure. And he said that without question. And that led me to think, oh, you want to speak? Okay. That led me to think, so clearly there is a system of response, of detecting and responding within customs as an example. True. Why is it that information, because we're talking about also strengthening public trust in public institutions, yeah, which reduces the level of adversarial, angry engagement we tend to get. How therefore can we make that data available publicly to demonstrate the commitment of customs to showing that where somebody breaches the rule, we will not just punish you privately, because that information is already held by customs. I know that already. Yeah. How do you set that publicly so you set the tone that we're not playing with this issue?
I don't know, sir. Have you finished, sir? I don't know whether you know of the Official Secret Act. I don't know whether you've ever heard about it. You see, it's the way you run private, it's not the same way you run government. You understand? If customs is doing something internally to earn officers, it's not something that's going to be put in the public odium. We're going to sanction the officer, but it's still going to be subjective to the Official Secret Act. We're not going to ostracize them completely. They are still part of the fold, but I mean, we can meet sanctions on them, but we are not saying that it's not in all cases that we yank them off. You understand? Some correction, for deterrence, and also as a signal for other, officers on the field, to ensure compliance. So we are not ostracizing them completely, but we take it on a case-by-case basis. It depends on how the case, how complex the case is.
Our only beg and our only prayer is, please, as you have rightly said, if that's something that will be considered by the agency, you're absolutely correct around the Official Secrets Act, of course, but it's part of that tone at the top you mentioned, as an example.
Sorry to say, we also have a monthly order. It's a publication that goes to the public too.
Excellent.
So on the disciplinary column of that monthly publication, if you are so interested in that, you could see disciplinary measures, you could see sanctions, you could see suspensions, dismissals, you could see reduction in rank, and all that.
That kind of list of actions.
That list of actions.
Please, a big thank you to Comptroller Aliyu. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. I think you answered the question in the end. Thank you so much. I wondered if immigrations, please, would want to offer a response.
Thank you very much. You see, just like the controller, the deputy controller of customs has just said, we have perceptible ways, specific ways we deal with cases. Now, if someone misbehaves and it is brought to the limelight, if it happens at the port, let me give specific instances. If it happens at the port and it is reported, the first thing that is to be done is to withdraw that officer. You will definitely not see him there. And when he is withdrawn, don't think the matter has come to an end. The moment he is withdrawn, it means he is being investigated or the case has been investigated. And the case may be reported to the zonal headquarters where I'm coming from now. Zonal headquarters is in charge of the whole of Lagos State and Ogun State. And when the zonal headquarters is satisfied with the investigation, if the punishment is to be issued right there, it is done. If it goes beyond punishing him right there, it is reported to the service headquarters. Sometimes these cases go through Servicom, it goes through the zonal headquarters, and then to the service headquarters, which is Abuja. Anytime you hear an officer has been dismissed or deranked, they may not specify exactly what has transpired before it is done, but it is cases like this. Recently, what we were just consulting. 4 officers were dismissed, 14 officers deranked. They will not specify what has actually happened, but these are some of the cases that could lead to a thing like that. Sometimes too, if you have knowledge of where infraction is caused, like if it is between you and an officer, the case may not just be the officer has been dismissed or he has been deranked. They will come back to you. You will be part of what has happened. You will know the punishment has been issued. So if you even know such people and you meet them, they'll be able to tell you, yes, this was what happened to the man who did this to me. That's the level we got to, or we get to. We don't go beyond that.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Please, a round of applause. It's never easy to stand up and give those answers. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much. I just have a kind of questions for all of us, for the Federal Ministry of Transportation and PSTT. Now, we all have rules and regulations, and we have disciplinary actions that we carry when officers maybe breach these rules and regulations within the office. Now, is it possible for us to take this breach of actions
in terms of corruption seriously and escalate it to our CEOs, where anybody found to breach this or found in this kind of corrupt practices will be treated and disciplined based on staff rules and regulations. Another thing is that it's difficult for us, like an example is a rickety truck that enters the port. Except it's being arrested and maybe PSTT or somebody escalated, how are you going to say that this person actually committed or breached the rule or regulations or is involved in some kind of corrupt practice? So I don't know if it's possible. We cannot have data except if maybe PSTT supply us with cases and arrests that they have done and maybe trucks they've intercepted. Then we can now record it, because if you ask how many, I wouldn't know. I will not be able to track it. But if these things are being escalated by PSTT to MPA, that this truck has been arrested and this is it, it's easy for you to find officer on duty, and it's easy for you to be able to discipline such officers. So I'm asking, is it possible, can we actually hold this issue of corrupt practices seriously, escalate it to our CEO in terms of this tone at the top, to buy in, so that from now onward, such actions can also be discipline based under our rules and regulations, staff rules and regulations. That's one. Two, can PSTT also actually escalate where it concerns any agency, whether customs or immigration or MPA or anybody, to the concerned organization, so that we can also begin to develop a database of these things? I don't know, it's a question. Thank you.
Yes, TC. Mr. Fadi, where?
Or would you like to?
Okay.
Sorry, I went out. It was just this tail end of the something that I was hearing.
Yes.
That whether PSTT can supply them with the information.
Yeah.
I think the issue of corruption is not limited to the truckers alone, or the trucks or the truckers and this. These things also take place maybe at the point of even inspection, officers that are working. So escalating it, the issue of escalation goes beyond the PSTT. They have their own. Maybe whatever happens at that table where we are working could also be escalated to. Because within an SOP, there should be sanctions and rewards. There should be rewards. Now, the SOP you are operating might not be for PSTT. And if there are infraction within your SOP, there should be a provision for its escalation too. So that's why I said maybe that has to be captured before I came in.
No.
So it's not only an assignment for PSTT. That's just my take.
No, absolutely, and thank you very much for saying that, sir. And I think that is part of the discussions we're having around the compliance function as a whole. It mustn't be the responsibility solely of PSTT to always intervene. At the agency level also, what are the instruments for responding in terms of identifying, detecting, and also responding to those sort of gaps? And that is the reason why, in partnership with TUGA, the trainings are currently ongoing for the compliance officers at the command level and also at HQ level who are in charge of compliance to see what can be done about that. I wondered, Mr. Fadib, if you wanted to offer a response. In terms of, I think on the element of, if we narrow the question to on the element of data collection, is it possible to have a partnership where PSTT essentially has a system built that it can record data, that data passes off to different agencies for them to do follow-up action, but also helps the agencies to identify where the gaps lie and where the risks lie in terms of, let's not say corruption, non-compliance to SOPs. Because sometimes it's not about corruption, it's also about non-compliance, just not following the rules.
It is very possible to do that. But the structure we operate in PSTT, we have at the highest, let me say, executive chairman That's the Honorable Chairman of ICPC. That is where we report to every month. And some specific cases are being handled at that level. That the chairman escalating to the head of agencies what they have seen. But at our own little level, probably at the port command level, if it's an agreement between stakeholders to say, okay, let us interact at the port command level, yeah, it can be done. Because like me, I have a good working relationship with the immigration at the command level, specifically at Papa ports. When there are issues, before you know I escalate to the man, I deal with it promptly. Deputy Comptroller Aliu is here. I have a very good relationship with him too, at that command level. Any issue that has to do with his people, I escalate to him, he gets it done immediately. So it could be too with MPA. But what we actually after in PSCT is when we escalate to you, we want to have a feedback, whether good or bad. Because sometimes when you escalate, that's the end of it all. You don't have a feedback from them. Whether the officer is really investigated, whether it comes out clean or not. So, but that we'll be willing to do if that partner could, be strengthened. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Manuel, maybe one more question for you.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mohammed Sani from the Association of Maritime Truck Owners, Amato. I just want to make an addendum to what Mr. Fa said not quite long on minimum safety standard and SOP. We at Amato level, we value safety. We preach safety to our members on a daily basis. And it is in this regard that we extend collaboration, hands of collaboration to the Nigerian Ports Authority that led to Nigerian Port Authority organizing a safety program at Amato's office last week, in which last month, in which Madam Olotu, the MP port manager, was in attendance just to preach on safety as it relates to minimum safety standards. So we don't compromise the value of safety at Amato level. And right now we are working on how to come up with a mega talk show on safety in collaboration with relevant stakeholders within and outside the maritime industry. Secondly, I would like this issue of SOP to be taken seriously, especially at the regulators and operators level, because if wall does not crack, a lizard cannot enter. Without compromise by those that are saddled with responsibility of ensuring compliance with MSAs along the port access road, there is no way a truck with incomplete container hooks, truck with a rickety body, with worn out tire, can easily access the port to go and load. It takes two to tango. Please, the enforcement architecture needed to be worked on by the port regulator. Those that are watching, what type of truck is supposed to enter the port, they need to take them seriously. Also, the terminal operators, those that are loading the container, they are also complicit in compromising safety SOP. Because I don't know, somebody will lift a container. You already see this, the flatbed doesn't have complete hooks, or the tire and worn out. You lift 30 tons container and see where and load it on that truck, which is very bad. That's why you see some truck will just load out consignment, go and fall on the road and kill people. So the issue of SOP at the terminal level, which is the port terminal operators and also the regulator level, MP needed to be looked on in order to bring to the barest minimum the rate at which trucks are falling on the road. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your intervention. I think I want to come to a closure here. So we have had a lot of questions, and we will have more opportunities to discuss. So I want to invite the Federal Minister of Transport probably to give closing remarks, please.
Thank you, everybody, for this wonderful meeting. To me, it has been very refreshing and very rewarding. And each and every one of us I can safely say that we have one thing or the other that we can take, that will serve as a takeaway from here, that we need to report back. Like I've earlier said, I don't want us to make this in a ritual. Let there be progress, so that by the time we are coming back next time, we'll be reporting further progress. What has come to the fore from our discussion thus far is that in all situations, in all human endeavors, it is impossible to have 100% perfection. If just is not obtainable, check yourself. See where you have. The problem we are having is me admitting that I am wrong. It's a problem, it's a thing. You always want to blame the other person for what is happening. But in one of the religious, say, why did you do this? He said, it's the woman you gave me. So we're always finding excuses. So it's not something that is hidden, so that we are giving excuses. But what we are trying to say in essence is this: please, let us all play our parts very well. We are here. Whatever we have learned here, please, let's see how we can cascade it down to other members that are also very critical. The director that is here cannot be everywhere. Our customer, our immigration people, all these other people. You are a CEO. You will not be the person that will drive a truck. Do you understand? So what I am trying to say in essence is that whatever you have learned here, let it represent a takeaway that is not going to be with you alone. Take it and go and educate your members that this is the procedure. This is what it takes. Yesterday we were having a meeting in the office, and we are talking generally about port operation, this. You found out that we all have one role or the other for these things to work. We need each other. And at the end of the day, the benefits will go around everybody if we play by the rule and don't want to cut corners. The problem area is some of us want to cut corners to get some things done. Whereas it is also not impossible that we have some people that want to collaborate. Bad days with every system. But let's see to it that at the end of the day, we try as much as possible to make the country, the interest, the power that is paramount for everybody. We all have collective, individual interests, but let that of the nation be the more paramount. So on that note, I am not giving a vote of thanks, but I just wish all of us well in our different endeavors and a safe return to our different destinations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for that. On that note also, we would want to, of course, appreciate and demonstrate our immense gratitude to the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, ably represented here by Director Sule. And the reason why this is very key is, when we talk about the compliance journey for Nigeria, the truth is that if you don't have an industry partner that is willing to take responsibility, because I know that if not for the personal responsibilities of presenting at FEC, that she would have been here. And the representation from the ministry itself is a demonstration of the seriousness that they attach to the maritime industry in this country. And I should please recognize by giving a round of applause to the Federal Ministry of Transportation, please, because that is really, really key. And I think that is the strongest demonstration of tone at the top, if there ever was one, down to investment in resources, as we had heard, 180 million approved for PSTT. I know how far and how much effort and fight that has gone into trying to secure the funding required to make this happen, and also the limitations of impact that the agency, the institution has been able to have as a result of lack of resources, and yet they've been able to come this far. So please, I think it's wonderful also, even in light of life-risking events that they have encountered, I think we need to please recognize the work of the Port Standing Task Team, of which I know there are some members in this room. So please, a round of applause for Mr. Fadibe and his team who are here. Most of all, of course, we want, this is a partnership. We are private sector. We only have the intention to help Nigeria grow its industries. We're only here to facilitate. We cannot make policy. We can advocate for policy change, but we cannot make policy. We cannot implement policy. And let's not kid ourselves. The resources of government cannot be comparable to what we can ever bring to the table in terms of this fight. So I want to end on this note by thanking every single government agency that answered the call to be here today. As Madam Cynthia had mentioned earlier, yes, this was a very constrained, planned event because of the amount of time we had. Yet, in spite of all of that, people came from far and wide to be part of this event. So we want to take the opportunity to thank and demonstrate our gratitude to every single government agency and private sector actor that answered the call to be here in this room as a demonstration of their commitment to compliance and building a better maritime industry for Nigeria. We want to say a big thank you, and please give yourselves a round of applause for that also, because that's not easy to leave your daily responsibilities and be here. We want to obviously, seeing that they're our paymasters, I want to thank the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network, who have been solid partners on the Nigeria front, but also globally around the world, doing wonderful things, which has led Nigeria to be recognized around the world for being the first to lead a collective action effort that's included government, private sector, civil society in a very constructive way to produce the results that we've seen here, that the work in Nigeria is now being replicated in other countries around the world. That is something Nigeria should really be very proud of, because they talk about us in such negative veins that when we have something positive, no matter how small, we must always celebrate it, because it feeds the narrative that there is possibility for something good to happen in this country. Because every single day, as we all know, good things happen in this country. We don't just sell ourselves very well internationally. So I thank you to every single one of you. We thank the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network for funding this activity and this event. We thank, yes, please give them a round of applause for that. Lunch is served, so please feel free to stay in the room and have lunch. After which, for those who belong to the projects